I was the first one to go to high school here in the United States, and it was like uncertainty what my next step was. And so going to your class during lunchtime kind of like helped me kind of forget about that and just be confident in who I am, and just speak up, just work with others to do my homework and learn. Like, and I was almost like natural. It just came natural for me.
Man, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think one of the things that um, I got to see on this side as a teacher, then one of the things that knew that I was trying to show is that, I was dedicated to my work, that I thought I was a little bit cool or something or smart or right. That I was like passionate, like that I was like, I mean, I was the only black male teacher there at the school,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
there was only two black teachers. So one woman and myself, right? So
Yeah.
it was kind of like I don't know, something you maybe get pigeonholed into like, oh, he's gonna like whatever people think of you, then you emulate that for everybody, right? And I
Yeah.
think and I was rough. I was rough around the edges, I wasn't like the, oh, hey, can you go move, keep walking into class? That's not, that wasn't my style. I was like, hey, let's go. Get to
Yeah.
class. What are you doing? Why are you ever in the hall hanging out in the hallway? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I think for some young men, especially young men who have never had a black male, person who is telling them what to do, a lot of my conflicts were with students were like, you can't be telling me what to do. And I'm like,
Right, right.
of course I can tell you what to do. And I just did. And I will again, right? And so I think on the front, I was like trying to be, I was trying to be confident, and I was trying to be dedicated and passionate. But what was happening behind the scenes, sometimes I would be like, I guess I'll probably use the word sadness. I think some sadness was like this idea that I left this career where, first of all, I got paid really well and I got a lot of respect. Welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch, and I'm really glad you joined us. Today is episode 100. Listen, I don't know. I don't remember when I said episode 1 back when I interviewed Breno. I don't remember said Lewis Howes, episode 3. I don't remember all the individual episodes by numbers, but I remember all the people. I remember all the connections. I remember many of the stories and lots of the learning. Today's episode, you're going to hear from Eduardo Canche. Eduardo is one of the founding members of the Ever Forward Club. 15 years old, freshman in high school. He's in my math class. And I just saw something really special in that young man, and I invited him to be one of the first. I wrote these young men a letter saying, I want you to be a part of this club. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I see more in you. I want you to help lead it. What is it going to be? How are we going to make school exciting for you? And for school students who love school, you may not need anything extra to make school exciting. But if you don't want to be there, if you are like just barely kind of scraping by, you may need some extra resources. And that's what we created. So 18 years later with the Ever Forward Club, 100 episodes of the Taking Off the Mask podcast, and several of the people we've interviewed during this 100 episodes have been alumni of the program. And so today we get a chance to go deeper with him, with who he was back as a freshman in high school and what's happening in his life today. Over the last 18 years, Eduardo and I have spoken many times. I'm so thankful that we still have a deep connection. And I get today to have another conversation with him. As I'm growing and learning, and I get to share with him some of the struggles and things that I'm dealing with and the stuff behind my mask that I try and push through every day, but giving myself room in these 100 episodes to talk to more people, to be present too with myself. And so I'm excited about with these next 100 episodes. We're going to be bringing in new voices to talk to people. You've heard from me a lot in 100 episodes. You've heard from my voice, and we're going to hear from some new voices. We've had one young man take charge and begin recording some episodes, and we have another young man who's going to take over where he left off. And we're going to find a young person who's going to help ignite this work, because I love talking to the young people, but I think that them having another young man in their circle who can ask them harder questions, who can push them a little bit deeper. It's so exciting. And I have one young man you're probably going to hear from in the next couple of weeks that I'm excited for you to be able to hear him. Not only does he have a very compelling voice, you're going to hear the thoughtfulness in his words. And so I'm looking forward to that soon too. So Mohandas was one of our young men, and you're going to hear from this young man. He hasn't committed to it yet, so I don't want to say his name, but I have two young men in mind who are going to begin interviewing young people, and are going to begin having podcast episodes with young people being interviewed with him. So stay tuned for that. And today, you're going to get a special treat. There's a special treat in today's podcast. Some of the young men who are in the Social Emotional Leadership Academy, who just returned from their Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, are going to be doing an interview with Eduardo. He takes some questions from them. He shares some stories about his journey and ever forward. And I'm so proud of the young men who came and interviewed him for this episode as well. So stay tuned. Know that these conversations are important. If you have not reviewed or liked or subscribed, please do that for us. Please do that for you. Please do that for any man in your life who you feel could benefit by seeing that it is possible for us to have conversations about how we feel. The things that we feel but we don't talk about. The things that we talk about but may not be the full story. The things we may be saying that no one's hearing. The things that people are hearing but we're not saying. And all the things that still needs to be heard. I hope that you enjoy today's episode. I hope that you will get involved with the work we're doing with the Million Mask Movement. It is some amazing things happening that is steering us directly forward to reach 1 million masks. We want you to be a part of it. Save the date, November 11th of 2022. 11/11/22 is a big day for us, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care, everybody. Eduardo, man, it is so good to see you. Thank you for being on the Taking Out the Mask podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ashanti. It's an honor to be here.
Well, look, would you introduce yourself? Will you tell folks who you are? Tell them an overview of, maybe a brief overview of how we know each other, but ultimately just introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into these masks.
Yeah, so definitely, my name is Eduardo Canche. Originally I went to San Lorenzo High School, and just wanted to just share my experience of how I joined Ever Forward and how much it affected me throughout those years in high school. And just coming from a first generation college graduate, just not having many friends in high school to up to now, and like being a father of a 2-year-old, and how cool that has been, like the whole journey. And I'm just really excited to talk about that.
Well, man, I'm thankful for you. I'm glad to have had the opportunity to be at your wedding. And we so many things would happen over these last 18 years. Ever Forward Club started in 2004. You were one of our first members. I'll never forget that first meeting, and how the club just began to grow and grow, and it grew so big that we had no room for people. People were standing up, and but one of the things I wanted to go back to is, we're going to share our masks today for this Million Mask Movement, and this didn't exist back then, but I think it existed in a way, right? Like our meetings were like, we have food and we check in about what's going on in our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that even though we weren't talking about them in the context of mask, what we were doing in our lunchtime meetings was taking off our masks.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like, people would say what they were struggling with, and then I would be like, who can help with that subject? Right. Somebody would be struggling in math. Hey, who's doing good in math? Hey, can you help? And I think we were like doing it, even though I didn't have language for it at the time,
Yeah.
So maybe what we could do first is you and I can start with like those masks. Like, what was a mask you had at 15 when you were invited to be a student founder of this club? And I'll talk about my mask as a teacher. So, I can go first, or you can go first, whoever you feel.
Yeah, I think I can kind of go from there. I think for me, it was a little bit different than your average, like your typical high school student because, um, I just wasn't sure of this new, American style high school. And like, me coming here when I was 8 to the United States was kind of like different. But I think that kind of affected me more during that time because, you know, English wasn't my first language. And just having that little issue and not being confident and being able to speak fluently kind of affected me as far as like making new friends and but besides that, I think inside I was really motivated. I wanted to do my best in school, and that's the side that people didn't see in me, the fact that I was really motivated. I wanted to learn as much as possible, and I also wanted to collaborate with others and see what they need from me. Like, and I think that's kind of like what I had not talked about, that willingness to help others also is something that I learned about myself, like just being part of the Ever Forward Club, and seeing that Ashanti was kind of like you know allowing this to happen in the, the school, like in his classroom. That's what it triggered me to keep going and learning about other people and like what kind of issues they're having as well, and like allowing me to see that. And um that's what it really changed me over time.
And Eduardo, so what were some of those things that were behind the scenes when you were, some of the things we talked about maybe in our circles every week, but were there some things that you were dealing with behind the mask at the club that you were dealing with at that time as a young man?
Yeah, I think that for sure it was like um not being confident in myself. I And now I just I'm just like picturing myself, going to class and, just going to class and trying to get through, the day or whatever. But with, you know, that and just being able to have that support system from, other folks that are like the same age as me and going through the same classes. I think that's what made me feel comfortable to speak up and to like be who I am. Like, because you don't get that at home. Like I wasn't getting like I didn't feel like I had the support at home. I think that even with classes, I didn't have much support from my folks at home. Like, and it's like it was just I was the first one to go to high school here in the United States, and it was like uncertainty what my next step was. So going to your class during lunchtime kind of like helped me kind of forget about that and just be confident in who I am, and just speak up, just work with others to do my homework and learn. Like, and I was almost like natural. It just came natural for me.
Man, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think one of the things that um, I got to see on this side as a teacher, when you were in my math class, so most of the young men who first came were part of my math class, and then I would be seeing young people walking around. Now, I never was walking around during lunch, much because I was always in my room getting ready for class or hanging out or whatever. And it wasn't until we started inviting other young men from way off camp, everywhere, and then it began to grow in a bigger way, And as a
Yeah.
teacher, then one of the things that I knew that I was trying to show is that, I was dedicated to my work, that I thought I was a little bit cool or something, or smart or right. That I was like passionate, like that I was like, I mean, I was the only Black male teacher there at the school,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
there was only 2 Black teachers, so one woman and myself, right? So
Yeah.
it was kind of like I don't know, something you maybe get pigeonholed into like, oh, he's gonna like whatever people think of you, then you emulate that for everybody, right? And I
Yeah.
think, and I was rough. I was rough around the edges, you know. I wasn't like the, oh, hey, can you go move, keep walking into class? That's not, that wasn't my style. I was like, hey, let's go. Get to
Yeah.
class. What are you doing? Why are you ever in the hall, hanging out in the hallway? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I think for some young men, especially young men who have never had a black male, person who is telling them what to do, a lot of my conflicts were with students be like, you can't be telling me what to do. And I'm like,
Right, right.
of course I can tell you what to do. And I just did. And I will again, right? And so I think on the front, I was like trying to be, I was trying to be confident, and I was trying to be dedicated and passionate. But what was happening behind the scenes, sometimes I would be like, I guess I'll probably use the word sadness. I think some sadness was like this idea that I left this career where, first of all, I got paid really well and I got a lot of respect.
Yeah.
Right. And I come to this teaching job where first I'm paid very little and there's almost no respect.
Yeah.
And I had to constantly keep myself in check. Like, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for the respect. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for the respect. And that's almost like a mantra you have to like have yourself on every day, because when a 14-year-old kid says, no, I'm not going to go to class.
Yeah.
What? Or when you get called a name, or when someone steals stuff out of your desk and you're just like, what? Like, what's going on here? Like, and so I think behind the mask was more of like a sense of like, am I really making the right decision? Am I really doing the right thing for my well-being and my future?
Yeah.
And so I think the mask was that back then. And I was new. I mean, it wasn't a nonprofit back then. It was a teacher trying to do this thing after school, weekends and holidays, right? Like, there was no money coming from it. I didn't know what it was going to look like 5-10 years down the line. I was just like, I need you all to be giving your best at school, in your life. And so that was the mask I had back then. That's what I think of.
Yeah, definitely. I think I kind of like resonate with that because, we all have that like, frontal like view, like how we want people to see. And me as a high school student, I was out, I still had that in my mind, like, which way do I want people to see me? And, like I obviously had a circle of friends that had that in them, but like my family, like I feel like with my raising, I was like, something in my head was telling me, no, like, you're here to do something else. Like you came here to go to school, study, and whatever, just to be successful. And I think that kind of like being exposed to you, and like somebody that for me showed, what I wanted to be maybe in the future. Like, this guy, he went to high school, went to his high school, and he went to Cal Poly, and that was all kind of like very all motivation for me. And then after that, just now looking back, I'm just like, wow, like all of that has culminated into like what the things I've done. And it's just been like really cool to see how everyone, even the guys that I'm still friends with, they all have families now. And it's just like, this whole journey has been like really cool. Like, so it's awesome.
And I think that's really powerful, right? Like, imagine if more young people, definitely young men in our work, right, had built relationships when they were young. Like, if I think back to my high school, middle school, I know people still around, but I'm like, well, how many friends do I have back still today from high school?
Yeah.
And those numbers are small. Those numbers are really small. If I go to middle school, I would say, I see people around town every once in a while, but I don't know that you could really honestly say like you're operating in adulthood as friends, right? But to have people that you like, we connected back in these formative age, middle school, high school. We built a connection, and we stayed together the rest. I mean, you see it in movies all the time where people have had friends from when they were 7, 10, 12 years old. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? How does that happen? Right. And now I see, right, how it can happen. If you create the environment for them to connect and have a space, I think it could be really powerful, you know? So thank you for being a part. Thank you for being willing, and thank you for trusting the space. And I'm glad that those relationships are still going, because I think I think we could still have a testament for what's possible with young people today. Build these connections, and especially with today, right? You know, and here's one thing for people to know out there: there were none of these. There were none of these when he was in high school, so they had to talk. They you know, it wasn't like how you doing, HYD. You know, like it wasn't like 3-letter answers to that supposed to be a sentence, right? Like it's. And so we think we're checking in with people how they're doing, but yet we're saying HYD and they're doing like IF, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're all good, right? You know, you didn't hear their voice, you didn't see their look at their eyes. You just think that you're checking in with people. I think it gives us a whole new world.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think just those organic connections that you made with your counterparts in school, like there's no substitute for that. Like, you know, now I see, you know, the younger generation, you know, it's a completely different thing. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that for me, it's a little bit different. Like I didn't have that. But I think that we still need that, like for future generations, because those mutual connections that you get to keep, and you need to, you know, take value in that, because like that's the stuff that our parents, sometimes your parents don't really tell you. It's just like insinuated in them. But now, as I'm older now, I really do see the value in having a relationship with somebody, or having a relationship with my brother or sister. Um, and I think that the world is not gonna that's not gonna happen easily. But with the right group of people to, you know, to represent that, it's very important to have that around you. I think that, you know, it's very, that's what I was thinking about as you were, you know, telling me, you know, how your experience. And you know, even now, like even Corbray, like doing his artwork, and you know, this kid that I knew in high school was, you know, just funny, and he was like always made me laugh. And now I see him painting murals in different parts of, you know, the city he lives in. It's just like amazing to me. It's like just amazing.
It is beautiful, and he's, for those who don't remember, this is his work right here. This is Corbray, and we saw him drawing. He would always be doodling in his notebook and drawing and doing stuff, and then to see him take that passion and then really infuse it into his life has been really amazing. Well, how about we do this? How about we maybe just now talk about the mask today, the mask that we've made to feel the need or find ways. You and I talk. We have conversations, you know, pretty frequently, but you know, just in terms of wherever you feel comfortable sharing about the mask that, you know, that exists today. You know, even though
I actually tried. You know, I did my best I could.
All right. All right. Well, how about you show the front first, just so you can get closer, and then show the back, or maybe fold it over.
Yeah.
And then we could it'll fit on the screen for you a little better. All right.
That's the front.
Look at that. That's. Will you read the words for us? Because some people are listening and they're not watching. Yeah.
Yeah. It says calm, poised, and happy. Yeah.
Cool.
So the back, I don't know if you want to talk about, but the back says irritated, sad, and faithful.
Man,
yeah, it's in.
Is there
yeah, I think it's very, very different than what my mask would have been like 15 years ago. Like, feels like it's funny. It's like I didn't even know that like about myself, but like when I started like just drawing and writing down, I was just like, okay, like this is who really I am. I've become, you know, this person. But it's not bad. It's just, it really, it shows a lot of growth has happened. Um, you know, I hope that this is able to help somebody like in the future to see, like it, we all go through things, but it's always important to, you know, you write down your thoughts, or, whatever you feel like the best way to do it, draw something, or, it allowed me to just think about my current situation, and, how that's powerful for just for you as a person to take the time to think about it, and to where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Eduardo. Thank you very much. I'm gonna Brian, put a timestamp right here. I'm gonna put this timestamp right here for 1 second, right here. Eduardo, will you just pinch your collar, pinch the collar of your shirt, yeah, because it was just kind of up, and no, it's okay. It just you have a good mic, so every time it's just picking up all the sounds, and so just it's okay. Oh, you good. Let me hear you talk again. Just say something.
Hello.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's good. Okay, Ryan, here we go. Coming back in, and I'll clap it off. Yeah, man, Eduardo, thank you, man, for sharing that mask. And it's good to, like, as I get to still see you growing up, it's good to continue having these connection points. I'll share my mask. Go this way. So this is the thing I created. I wrote funny, serious, caring, and hardworking. As I look at the picture, like, the eyes look pretty sinister. Like, I don't know why the eyes look like that. But it does start with funny, so maybe funny was in my mind. Maybe serious is connected. Those are the things: funny, serious, caring, and hardworking are the things on the front of the mask, the things I gladly let people see. And actually, ironically, around the way that looks, right? Because I think even in where all of my classes, people would think that I was mean, right? Like, people, I mean, I get really intense. I got a very expressive face, like, or if I'm like, if not, right? Like,
yeah.
Right. And I never thought of myself as a mean person. I thought I was always, like, really kind and caring, very serious, very intense. But I've never thought of myself as a person who is mean, right? But it's interesting, and as you think about what we are doing our best to show, and how other people are picking up on it, because they may pick up on something that we're not actually trying to show,
Yeah.
And in the back, what's really true.
What's that?
Yeah, let me see.
I see screws.
Let's see. Where's my light? Why the light's tripping? Where's the light tripping? Okay. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Self-doubt, worry, and
fear.
So self-doubt, worry, and fears. And I think the one I'll talk about more is just maybe I'll go with this. I'll go with self-doubt right now, because I think that, this work that we're doing, and ever forward, it's been 18 years. Like, it's like, I can't wait till we get to 20, right? I can't wait to get to 20th relay. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about coming back to SLZ and doing it there. And then sometimes I'm just like, is this, I believe the mission of the work is more important than ever. It's needed. Sometimes I doubt that I'm maybe the one to be in the role that I'm in doing it, right? Like, I'm clear. I'm the visionary. I'm clear about that. I'm clear that I'm the director of training and experiences. But if I was to look at my desk right now, and if you could see my desk, you would be like, what's going on here? Because it's not fun. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. And not that you have to have a nice desk to be organized, but I'm not organized. I mean, just to be honest, like, I'm not very organized in those kind of ways. Like, I'm not. These all should be filed somewhere. And to think about where they, at first I'm like, where should they be filed, under what name, under what? And so I basically just pile them, because I'm like, well, at least I know it's somewhere here, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are things I'm still learning, right? It's things I'm still learning and growing with. And so the doubt is sometimes like, okay, so what is my next role? Like, who do I bring to handle this stuff that needs to be done well? Organization, management, those kind of things, so that I can do and spend more time on the things that I think I do well.
Yeah.
as opposed to me trying to like get better at the things I'm really not good at. I mean, I've not been good at filing for 40 plus years. I don't know that I really want to take any classes on how to file better. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I
Mhm.
want to spend energy on that right now in my life. I want to like let somebody who knows exactly when the paper gets dealt with, what to do with it. And not that I couldn't still learn, but where do I want to be spending my energy and my passion, right, for this work? So those are some of the things, and I think it's connected to the doubt and the fear, right? Because who am I if I'm not in this role, right?
Yeah.
Who like this I don't know much more. I've been doing this 18 years. Like, if you've been doing a job for 18 years, you hopefully feel pretty good at it. I hope you're not
Mhm.
doing 18 years because of bad at something, right?
Yeah.
But then how do you let some of those pieces go that feel like they're so connected to you, right? And so I think those are some things I carry right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last words? Any last words you want to say before we close up this conversation?
I'm just thankful too. Like, it's been a great conversation, and it's been great to, talk to some of these younger gentlemen, that are, going on to the next chapter in life. And, I hope to be invited into a few more of these in the future. I would be more than glad to do it. And I just, I wish you the best with like all your goals, like with Ever Forward. Like, I know that you got this, and throughout all the craziness, I know that you're doing it for a great cause, and it definitely is making a huge difference in the world. And I wish you the best with that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, and I hope that you will get. I hope you will come back. We're going to be kicking off this alumni association. I want your help there, and we should talk because there's some needs down in LA. So maybe there's a way for us to connect you. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. Maybe there's some things that we can talk about of how to serve you, and you can serve the young people right in your own neighborhood there. So thank you for being here, brother, and I appreciate you. I'm very
Thank
proud
you.
to have you. Right on.
Thanks.
Well, folks, look, we have just shared our mass publicly. Eduardo and I have been knowing each other for over 18 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, look at this. I'm much older than he is, even though, but I'm really thankful that he's come back. And I think that what we're going to be doing is connecting with more of our alumni out in the world, hundreds of young people who have gone through this program, and now getting them back involved, getting them back connected. And if you want to make your mask, you can do that anonymously at millionmask.org. This is 100 episode. This is episode 100, Eduardo. And I'm really honored to have you here on episode 100 as a young man who was in that room when we first did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels great. I'm so honored.
Oh, I'm honored to have you here, brother. And so thankful for your friendship and your connection over the years and your trust. And
Thanks.
Folks out there, the work is growing. The Million Mask movement is growing. None of these shirts existed when Eduardo joined our club. None of this work existed. It was a teacher in a classroom, portable 8, having lunch.
Yeah.
And it's grown to something so much bigger. And so thank you for the visions that you all have out in the world, Eduardo. I am so glad that you get to be in this guest of episode 100. And I'm looking forward to the next 100. And stay tuned. I'm excited too. I was so nervous, and I've been talking about this for months, and we've been planning. One of the things I really want people to know is like how you got connected to Ever Forward Club, and the young men who are here, they are going to ask you some questions. These are all young men who are a part of our Social Emotional Leadership Academy. That didn't exist back when you were in school, so we didn't have a Social Emotional Leadership Academy. Usually in the summer, it was my time to rejuvenate, and it was, you all got a break. Yeah. But this year and now, 18 years later, we have another program. So they have some questions for you. And they're going to be with us just for about 15, 20 minutes. And then we're going to send them, they're going to get their day back. I wanted them to be able to have a conversation with you because you were one of the first members, and
Yeah.
and I think it'll be really beautiful conversation. So I'll leave you kind of open once you introduce yourself, and then young men, whoever's going to jump in first for that those questions.
Okay.
So the problems that were happening like at your school at that time, did you also try to help others, but like that were going to the same mindset as you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was able to help people because like I honestly like just the way I was raised, I was raised very my parents were very protective of me. So I kind of like had that mentality like I always wanted to do something like daring or something, like and and when you go to high school, it's like a completely different environment. Everybody was raised differently, so I think just being around different people and different mentalities, and like just being yourself, you can definitely affect other people's mentality too. So I think, and that's another reason why I kept volunteering for the club Ever Forward, and doing the 24-hour relay. um I was motivated to like just be there and just have that experience to help out with whatever I could. And it was just like a great way to make new friends, and that kind of helped me become more confident in the way I am, I think. So like it's okay, it showed me that it was okay to be a little bit different, because I didn't come from like a typical American family. So for me, it was like cool to see other cultures, and the how everybody's raised differently. And I had even like sometimes I would have friends over, but not my parents were cool about it. They were just like they were more hesitant to let me go to somebody else's houses, which is different than the American mentality, because I feel like in America, like everybody was so chill. At least here, during the time that I was going to school, I think everybody was so chill, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'll be at your house at this time." But my parents, being like the younger child, they were just like kind of hesitant to let me go to other people's houses. But I always wanted to kind of break out of that shell, you know what I mean? And it just shows you a different perspective of things.
Question I have for you is if you had a hard time taking off your mask in front of others when you were younger.
Yeah, I think so. I think we all have like a hard time being showing your true self to others. I think that's just natural. I think being in the club has definitely helped me just think about it in a different way, and also just being exposed to different environments now that I've worked in different industries and seeing how other people's minds work and like how they act. It has allowed me to be more confident in the way I am, and being my different ideas, bringing in different ideas to the table. But yeah, like you're exposed to different mentalities, and I'm not gonna lie, I have experienced like shyness, like, or being really timid, and and being afraid to say what I really think in a classroom, for example, or in a room full of people. And it's normal. I think it's normal to feel like that. It's just that over time you just get better and better and knowing what time to bring up what you're thinking, or what time to what's the best way to say it.
Yeah, that's so real. And Eduardo was he was kind of shy. He was I'm gonna show you all a picture in a second that I'm trying to find, but I can't find it yet. But maybe lucky for him. Um, Yeah, we got to before Eduardo moved to LA, we got to have a meal with him right before he left. And a lot of those young men from that first picture I showed you all earlier came. A few of them came. And it's so good. You know, I think I get they'll be like, oh, we just came back from Vegas, so we'll go do the something fantasy football championships or draft or something. I'm like, who is it? Who is in Vegas? And they'd be like, oh, me, Eduardo, Jorge. I'm like, because we spent such a really amazing growing up time. Like, they were growing up, I was an adult, but it was like, wait, y'all went where? Like, you know, and
Camping or
so
something.
they were always staying connected. And I was really thankful for that. I was really glad that they got to build those relationships and then keep them going. Build a relationship with good people who care about you, support you, and you don't have to be pretending all the time. I think we all need that. And so, yeah, sometimes I want to be there when they're at those little things, but I also know that they need their time, and I'm glad that I got to be a catalyst in that. You know, I don't take anything for granted, but they had to trust. You know, they trusted, and some of them, you know, they'll tell the story like sometimes they felt like they were forced to come to a meeting, and they didn't want to, right? And some of them knew that. Looking back, you like, yeah, it was part of the building community. In the moment, sometimes it felt a little bit too much, but the last thing I'll show you this one. I don't, Eduardo, can you tell them what you remember about this picture? Do you remember this trip?
Oh yeah. Was this Universal Studios, like
Right.
the
It is the City Walk.
man? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely remember this weekend. It was crazy. It was a crazy weekend, but I know I became close to a lot of these guys because of this trip, and even till now, I'm still friends with them, and they're all off doing their thing. But I think that we all kind of, we still have that mutual like relationship. Like I looked like a baby. We all looked like babies there, and like, and it's funny just to see it. Yeah.
So true. Well, who would have known that 18 years later, after you and I met, that you would be on a podcast talking to new young men who are now going through some of those experiences from before, you know? So, looking back on the 18 years, is there any word, just, a word you want to offer them as they, most of them are going to their freshman year. Actually, all of them.
Oh, okay.
Actually, all of them. They're all about to be freshmen next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really great. I think my word of advice would be just to follow your heart. Like, if you have that gut feeling, you might have some doubts here and there, but I think it all comes down to, no matter, sometimes you might doubt, oh, should I do this? Because like, I don't know how much time it's going to take up of my schedule, I have more important things to do, but I think just over time, you'll realize that no matter, we might spend time on other things that really don't matter. I think at the end of the day, just trust your gut, because it really is going to show later on. Like it's going to make it all worth it. Like with time, you'll see that it was worth it. Trusting your gut and going for it and spending time on those things that some people might not see as valuable. But if you feel like this is what calls you, then I would say just follow that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any last word from a young man before we head out? I just want to make sure that there's no lingering word before we head out. All right, young men. I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we'll be back on our regular schedule. See you tomorrow morning at 9:30. I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. Right on, man. Look at you. You're a natural. You're natural.
Hey, man, I try,
Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie. Graphics are by Kelly Wong. And a special thanks to the team at Ever Forward, Vanessa Cortez and Choke Allen Alvarez. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast as we cross the 100th episode milestone and begin the work to the next 100. We hope that everyone who's been a part knows that they're a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. And we look forward to you being a part of it as well. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share, as we look forward to continuing to have conversations that matter. Stay tuned for the relaunch of the Million Mask Movement on 11/11/22. That's November 11th of 2022. There's a math problem in there. You can find out more by visiting everforwardclub.org and following us on social media. Take care, and we'll see you soon.